Let me start for the Ring magazine. Always a pleasure to be joined with 2016 Ring magazine Fighter of the Year, Carl Frampton.
That's the only reason I do interviews with you, because you always say that.
Say again?
That's the only reason I do interviews with you, because you always say that.
The people got me reminded. But yeah, obviously a big main event. Leigh Wood against Anto Cacace in Nottingham. Obviously, Anto, a man that you believed in him for many years. Obviously, all the sparring back when you was a pro. Yeah, looking forward to Saturday night.
Yeah, really good fight. Really interesting fight. I think that the winner stays on pretty much, and the loser probably retires. At the age both guys are at 36. But it's a really good fight. I think that I can't really make an argument that it's going to be a boring fight. I think the atmosphere and everything else will make Leigh Wood come forward and be aggressive, but I think that suits Anto. And if you look at Leigh Wood's last performance against George Warrington, although he won the fight and hurt him in the end, he was being outboxed by George Warrington, who isn't really a boxer, he's more of a fighter. And I think that Anto, if he's smart, can comprehensively outpoint this guy or maybe even stop him late.
For yourself, when it comes to Anto, you believed him for many years, but it's only really now that he started to get on world level, get big fights. What is it about himself that I guess could almost make him like a bit of a late bloomer in a sense in his professional career?
He's been very unlucky in terms of fights falling through and issues with managers and promoters and everything else and injuries. So very unlucky he's been, but once he got that crack at Cordina, he took it. It was a bit of a risk. But he took it and he won, it paid off, and then obviously the Warrington fight and the Wembley card and everything else. But I'm delighted for Anto. I'm thinking if Anto had been 50 and never, been looking back on his career and not have won a world title, he would have been very disappointed. Yeah. And I would have been disappointed for him, because I know the potential and how good a fighter that he is. So I'm just glad to see that he's getting his flowers at the minute, and everybody's kind of on him, and it's nice. It's and I deserve it as well.
Do you think he is the hardest hitter that Leigh Wood's going to be in with?
Yeah, okay. I do. I mean, he's been in with some big punchers, Leigh Wood, but in terms of anyone I've been hit by, Anto Cacace hits harder than anyone. His record doesn't really suggest that, but I promise you, it's frightening power. It's one of them ones where I used to spar him, and hundreds of rounds I've done with him. It's like, you have to be switched on for the whole spar. Leigh Wood, equally a big puncher as well, and maybe he's the biggest puncher Anto's been in with. So, like I said, it's going to be a great fight.
Go ask you about Liam Davies against Kurt Walker as well. It gets a big step up for Kurt, which will be an interesting fight.
It's a really big step up, and Liam Davies is probably, I think he outgrown the super bantamweight division, and he'd see a new lease of life up at featherweight. And it wasn't that long ago we were talking about Liam Davies fighting Inouye.
That's right, yeah.
And obviously he lost his last fight to Shabazz, but he can really fight. It's a big opportunity for Kurt Walker, because suddenly he goes from almost obscurity, if he beats Liam Davies, to being a name in the division. In saying that, it's a difficult fight for him. I really rate Liam Davies. I do rate Kurt Walker as well, but I have a feeling that his punch power maybe just isn't enough to keep Liam Davies off him. And it's hard. It's hard to see Liam not winning that fight, but I'd love to see Kurt do it.
Absolutely. Carl, there's a few other topics I did want to get your thoughts on. Obviously looks potentially Eubank Jr and Conor Benn might be rematching. From your point of view, how would you view, I guess, a rematch when it comes to weight, and if they were to add a rehydration clause as well? Would you say it's more concern based off what we saw from the first fight?
I think so. Look, at Eubank's age, it's just getting more difficult to get down to the weight. And then when you're firing a rehydration clause into the mix, that makes it doubly as hard. But I think Eddie made it says me trying to get him down to 157. They're trying to.
So I asked Eddie that. He said it was a bit tongue in cheek.
Oh, was it? Okay.
He said it was tongue in cheek, because I think everyone was like, "What is it?" Yeah.
If he's getting down now, they're trying to kill him or something. But the rematch for both guys, they earn stupid money again. I think if I'm Conor Benn or Eubank, you don't want to be involved in too many of them fights. They literally shorten your career, and in some cases take fucking years off your life when you're being involved in fights like that. So Eubank, I think the rematch will be more appealing to him because of the money and because of his age. But Conor Benn can become a world champion at some point in his career, so he doesn't want to have fights like that, like he had in his last fight against Eubank. He doesn't have too many of them, because they shorten your career and your lifespan as a boxer, if we want to say that. So if I'm Benn, I've earned enough money, and I'm looking to get myself and try and win a legitimate world title.
Do you think the rematch is bigger?
Yes, absolutely, because of what happened in the build-up to the last one. How good the first fight was. It was competitive. I do think the right man won the fight. I think one round closer than the judges had it, but Eubank certainly won the fight. But an incredible fight. So much guts and tenacity shown by both men. Things that we didn't... I mean, I didn't think that... I think if it went down the stretch, Benn was the guy who had more of a chance just because he didn't have issues with the mate, but we seen a side to Eubank that we've never had to see before, and he really dug in deep. And for me, he was a deserved winner. But a rematch, I think they do a rematch at Wembley. It's a much bigger fight.
Yeah, on the topic of, I guess, big weight discrepancies, Canelo Crawford faced off ahead of their fight on September 12th. Yeah, I guess that we're a long way away from it now. But just as an early prediction, what did you make of the face-off and the fight?
I'm buzzing about the fight. I remember when Crawford beat Earl Spence. I was one of the first. Do you know what? I often say these statements and everyone laughs at me. Yeah. I say, is Nick Ball's going to beat Inouye? And now everyone's after Inouye's last performance. Maybe they're not laughing so much, but I did say that Crawford beats Canelo, and that was when he beat Earl Spence. I got ridiculed and mocked and laughed at, but I believe he can beat Crawford, or he can beat Canelo. I genuinely do. I think he's a very special fighter, as is Canelo, but I just do think Canelo's maybe slightly on the slide. Canelo's slide, by the way, is still a lot to beat some of the most elite fighters in the world, but you know what I'm trying to say. I think that Crawford, I fancy Crawford in that fight. I genuinely think he can win on points.
Do you think he has to make it a boring fight to win?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because look at the way, like, not a sense like a William Skull, but that sort of outside.
Like outside, stay on the outside, and he can do that. We all know Crawford can do that, and he can box his way to, landslide points victories, but potentially may not be the most exciting fight in the world. I think that Canelo's feet are slower than they used to be, and trying to hunt Crawford down may be an issue for him. But yeah, I genuinely, and I'm even more sure now than I was when I made the statement then. Not that I'm sure, I wouldn't be surprised by any result, but I do genuinely think that Crawford has more than a chance to win this fight.
Final one from myself. Usyk Dubois announced the rematch July 19th. I guess how would you view the rematch as it comes closer and closer?
Really, really good fight. Dubois is a better fighter now than he was in the first fight, and he looked okay for periods in the first fight. Disappointed with how it ended as well, but Crawford, flip me, talking with the wrong fighters again. Yeah. Dubois is certainly a much more dangerous fighter than he was, so he does have a chance to win the fight. But in saying that, I've backed against Usyk a couple of times, and specifically the Fury fights. I don't think I'm ever going to back against him again. I think the guy's a genius and he just finds a way. I don't even think he was in the fights with a game plan. He figures people out as the fight goes on. And yeah, Daniel has a better chance, but don't back against Usyk. I think Usyk wins the fight.
Good stuff, Carl. Always a pleasure. Always good to catch up with you. And appreciate always. Thanks, from the 2016 Ring Magazine Variety.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.